Really nice to see everyone. There's like a million different ways to describe this, but I think one thing that I really liked about this unraveling is that nothing I said was permanent. No thought was permanent. And it was shown to me over and over that that was true. As real as it might feel in the moment, it was consistently shown to me that that's not true either, but in a really beautiful way. Like you really can't stick to anything. You can't land anywhere. And I remember when I was kind of just, me living a life, when I would say things to myself or to others, it felt permanent. There was there was a degree of that's who I am. That's how I should be. That's what I commit to. And I have to follow through with it. And it dictated what I did, how I acted, what decisions I made, because I felt like an obligation. So when I was going through this, it felt like, I guess because we've been through so much, there's a lot of hurt, you know, in the body, and you're not free to express it to most people because they might judge you and they might define you and they feel like they know you based on what you say. But it's just an expression of the hurt, it's just an expression of what has happened to you in the past. And sometimes there is like a, a repeating story that comes up. And here it was really nice to be able to say the story, to say how hurt I've been by other people, to say that I hate certain people. I hate what they did. Um, because I feel like, in general, and also if you're on the spiritual path, you're trying to veer toward love, and you think that that will, it's just another safety mechanism, and it's okay. But as long as there's the idea and concept of love, like there will be hate. And so really all people are doing is suppressing and denying the hate, which is very natural. Like it's an equal part. of this, of being human, of being a person. And I guess that's part of the challenge of going through this publicly, because not only is it hard to say it to someone that you trust, it's like you're saying it to the world, and you understand that some people might not understand, unless they actually go through it, and unless they feel what it's like to, you don't choose to do this, but when you really feel the hurt of the past, it's everything. And it's so gorgeous that it's everything. There's no need for hope to get out of it. There's no suppression of it. In a way, you sense that that's ultimately still not the truth, but in a way, it's the only reality, because that's the only thing that's here. And it's so beautiful that you could say it the way it is. Like, I fucking hate the world. And it was so free to just say that, to admit it, and to not cover it up with, like, oh, but come on now. Look at the positive. Be optimistic. I've lived my whole life doing that. But you really do see, like, that's another suppression. It's perfectly fine the way you feel. It's not like, it's also not as, it's not like you're going to go out and actually do something, because there isn't that same intense feeling of control. It's not my hate. It's not my, nothing is mine. It's just here if it's here. So I remember feeling like there were aspects of this where I felt like something was really wrong, probably with me, because if it had a flavor of negativity, and I could sense that most people around me were able to be positive, to have a positive spin on something. But I could energetically feel that they're living on top of the pain. They're not really able to feel what's actually going on or admit it yet. And it's fine, but it's also, it was annoying at the time, because I could feel the power of this. I could feel like the genuineness. And what I was receiving from everyone was another suppression. And so yeah, the person will think that it's like negative. You're being, yeah, you're being negative. This is different from the personal, there is a personal type of negativity where you can get stuck in the negative stories as well. And the person can get stuck in the positive, just looking, trying to see the positives. But they're both kind of not very true. But when you go through this, it just feels different. It's not a position that's being taken. It's like a revealing of what's actually here. And it's not truth. It's not definitive. It's freedom. It's freedom for the body to finally see what's been hidden, for you to see what's been hidden. And again, there's so much less ownership that it just simply is what it is. Um, and you might be worried that it might last forever, but it's it's actually just a kind of purging that the body needs to go through to release that stuff. Because I don't feel like the world is disgusting or harmful anymore. Not in the same way. It um doesn't feel that way anymore. There's a true emptiness to everything. It just is what it is, and nothing is happening. It kind of does really feel like that. Yeah, I think while going through this, there was a kind of wish that, people would be, in a way, a bit more understanding that words aren't permanent, and it's not coming from a place of, I want to do harm or anything like that. It's just the pain needs to release somehow. And it's really amazing talking to people because you really see that everyone is the same. I know that everyone's pain is slightly different and what's been held on to um, is slightly different. But overall, we all kind of think the same. We all kind of feel the same. So I know that this isn't really true, but the identity here was identified as a girl, a woman, however you want to say it. So within that, it's a false reality, but within that reality that felt real, there was a lot of seeming harm done to this body by what you can call, if you want to label it, like men. And there was a lot of pain around that and a lot of probably not trusting completely. And only recently, when the personal pain of that was felt through and that had largely released, it felt like a This stuff is like impossible to describe, but it felt like a true permission to really say it how it is. And I didn't even mean it. As it was said, it wasn't even meant. But there's such a freedom that it's sometimes just said. And there's a understanding that there are a ton of kind men, you know? It's of course it's gonna vary, but just in this lifetime, it just felt like the most suffering was brought on by certain types of men. Um, and so yeah, there was an ability to express to my friend who's such a sweetheart. Um, and I knew that he wouldn't take it personally, obviously, because he's gone. But yeah, there was just a saying of like, I fucking hate men. How arrogant, how knowing, how dominating. And I'm not saying that women aren't like that too, because that's the personal energy. Like pretty much every person has that. It's just to different degrees. So it started to not even feel like a men and women thing. It's just that personal energy is quite aggressive and thinks that it knows. And it really is dominating. It's very controlling. But in the saying of that, it was gone. It was completely gone. And there was a natural um, knowing that men suffer deeply in the same way women do as well, but just in a different way. And there is so much pressure for men to know, to be confident, to have it together, to make money, to be successful in certain ways, to have it, to get things. There's just a lot of pressure. And I could see why. I could see why they become the way they do. And I'm not saying that women don't have that either. They do. And, we have our own challenges. But yeah, when I'm saying this, it's like there is no man and woman. That concept just dies. It doesn't make any sense. I can't distinguish like that anymore. It's just words that I'm saying, but it has no meaning behind it. And yeah, for my friend, like he was really rejected by a lot of women. So he had a different story that was playing around women, which is very understandable. So it's interesting how this can sound really polarizing, but that's not how I mean it at all. It's just expressed to die. It's said to be gone. And so there's no fixing or mending in the false reality, in this false reality of men and women or separation, distinctions. It just resolves itself because it becomes irrelevant. It's not in existence anymore. And so everything is resolved. Like everyone who identifies as different, whatever they identify as, it like in a way it doesn't matter. In a way, you're completely free. It never mattered. But I don't say that in a dismissive way because I understand that within this made up reality where there are distinctions and it feels very real and you've been compartmentalized and it's been painful to come out as gay or identify as something that you weren't born as, let's say. I understand there's been a lot of struggle and difficulties. So it's not dismissing that pain. It's just, it's so beautiful that it becomes irrelevant. You've always been okay as you are. You've always been free to be however you are. But yeah, it's really refreshing to not know yourself, to not identify as anything. It's just not possible anymore. It just doesn't make sense anymore.